Hey guys! April is Autism Awareness Month, so I thought it would be the perfect time to talk about why everyone's favorite superhero, the one and only Spider-Man, it could possibly be autistic. This is all in good fun, just a little thought exercise into one of my favorite headcanons about Spider-Man, if you're willing to stick around and hear me out into why Spider-Man fits the autism diagnosis criteria. As a sidebar, a lot of this is based on my own experience. Yes, I am autistic. I don't talk about it a lot. I am very, as they might say, high functioning. That doesn't mean that I don't have autism. It's not something I talk about a lot, but I just wanted to share that this is based on kind of my own experience and that autism looks different for everyone. The saying goes, if you've met one autistic person, you have met one autistic person. Autism is different for everyone. Let's start with Tom Holland's Spider-Man and how he low-key kind of sucks at picking up on sarcasm.
When Fury asked me to come up here and see how you were doing, he felt bad about snapping at you.
Really?
You guys do have sarcasm on this earth, right?
Understanding sarcasm is a thing that a lot of autistic people struggle with. I know it's something that I struggle with. If you tell me something, I'm going to believe you wholeheartedly, even if you're being sarcastic. And I'm going to need you to tell me afterwards, like, hey, that was all just a joke. Exactly how, like, Peter Parker in the clip I just showed had to be told, hey, yo, kid, I'm literally just joking. Nick Fury would never ever act that way. But to Peter, he doesn't understand that. He thinks, oh no, Mysterio is being honest, he's being truthful, and I'm here to believe, and I believe him. Another thing that really ties in with not understanding sarcasm is not understanding social cues. Spider-Man loves to yap, he loves to talk, he loves to quip back and forth with whoever he is fighting.
You have a metal arm? That is awesome, dude!
Which is something that you don't see a lot of other superheroes, supervillains, anti-heroes, vigilantes do when they're fighting. And that's because it's not really common practice.
Those wings carbon fiber?
Is this stuff coming out of you?
That would explain the rigidity-flexibility ratio, which, gotta say, that's awesome.
I don't know if you've been in a fight before, but there's usually not this much talking.
All right, sorry, my bad.
The people that Spider-Man are fighting with aren't listening to him. They aren't always talking back, but he doesn't care. He doesn't pick up that this isn't really a back and forth. He just keeps doing it on his own. For example, when in Spider-Man Homecoming, Peter Parker keeps texting Happy. He doesn't pick up on the fact that Happy isn't texting back, or even if he does, he doesn't care. He just wants Happy to know how excited he is and how ready he is to be an Avenger. Additionally, he really struggles with social cues that come to body language.
That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. We're not there yet.
When Tony goes to open the door, he immediately thinks, oh, this is a hug, because he's such a huge Avengers fan. He's such a huge Tony Stark fan that in his mind, this is the moment he's been waiting for his entire life. It doesn't register to him that, oh, wait, I just met this guy. We're probably not there yet. Let's look at a social interaction between Gwen, Miles, and Peter.
Will they, won't they? He'll be unstoppable. We can't let him get to Alchemist. See? How can you guys even concentrate?
In this interaction, Spider-Man India keeps bringing up the romantic tension between Gwen and Miles. However, they are literally in the middle of a huge fight with a big, bad supervillain that is about to destroy Peter's world. It's like he just doesn't understand, hey, this is not the time or place.
About Hobie? What should I know about Hobie? Oh, looks like he did not know.
He also brings up Hobie Brown, as in being like, ooh, Miles, you don't know about her other boy yet, which again, not the time or place when you're fighting a big, bad supervillain. This ties into the whole not understanding social cues, not understanding that there's a time and place for certain things, and when you're fighting, that's not it. If we look at the live action Peter Parkers and Spider-Man No Way Home, Andrew and Tom keep asking prying questions of Tobey Maguire.
So you like make your own web fluid in your body?
And Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is obviously becoming more and more uncomfortable, but they don't seem to get it. They're not picking up on the social cues that, hey, maybe Tobey doesn't want to talk about this. Additionally, Tobey needs clarification on if he is being teased or not.
Are you teasing me?
No. He's not teasing you. It's just that we can't do that. So naturally, we're curious as to how your web situation works.
Which ties into, again, sarcasm. He's saying, I don't know if you're making fun of me, and I won't know if you're making fun of me unless you directly tell me that you are making fun of me. You know what else is an autism thing that a lot of people don't talk about? Being easily manipulated, just like how Quentin Beck manipulates Peter Parker in Spider-Man Far From Home. The whole relationship between Quentin Beck and Peter Parker is a great way of showing how autistics or non-autistics interact with people who are autistic and how easy it is to manipulate them.
Can I be completely honest with you? Please.
They look really stupid.
Oh.
All Peter wants is approval. All he wants is someone to look at him and say, hey, you're good. And at the same time, he wants to live a normal life, this life that maybe he can't live as a normal person because, well, he's Spider-Man, but also because he's autistic. Quentin Beck offers him that normal life, even if it is to the detriment of Peter Parker himself. Another thing autistic people really struggle with is maintaining relationships, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, holistic people and autistic people communicate differently. And oh boy, does Peter Parker know about struggling to maintain relationships. His friends constantly turn evil and try to kill him. His mentors turn evil and try to kill him. He has a divorce with his wife, the love of his life, and because of that, he ends up being alone and isolated. Spider-Man really only has a few close friends, and ultimately those close friends end up leaving him one way or another. Yes, Peter Parker struggles to keep friends, but he also struggles to make friends. He is bullied by Flash, and don't you just love it when the neurotypical person can pinpoint the autistic person and then bullies them relentlessly? Something that I have personally experienced and that I know a lot of other neurodivergent people have experienced. And then there's Miles from Into the Spider-Verse. Miles' only friend, aside from the other spider people, is Genki. And even then, they don't become friends until later in the movie, months into the school year. And they are only friends because, well, he's Miles' roommate. The friends that Miles does have are all the other spider people, the other people who are like him, the other people that could be maybe, if you stick with this headcanon, autistic, just like him. And it's easier to make friends with someone who are like you. It's easier to be friends with people who understand the world in a way that you do than it is to be friends with people who are holistic, who aren't autistic, who don't understand the world the way that you do. Next, I want to talk about the sensory issues, or the spider sense. Part of being Spider-Man is after they were bitten by a radioactive spider, they can see better, they can taste better, they can smell better, they can hear better.
When whatever happened, it's like my senses have been dialed to 11. There's way too much input, so...
All of which make them a better fighter. However, that can also be very overwhelming. Every Spider-Man has heightened senses, which can manifest itself in sensory overload. If you've never experienced sensory overload before, consider yourself lucky, but the best way that I can describe it is like you actually have a spider sense, like you actually have this sixth sense that's just turning everything up to an 11, a 12, a 13, 14, over and over again, and everything is just so overwhelming that you can't calm down and you can't control it. What's another thing that is a huge criteria of being autistic? It's having a special interest, something that you're incredibly passionate about, that you can spend hours and hours of your day researching about, reading about, watching, writing about. If you couldn't tell, mine is this. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Spider-Man's special interests. For most Spider-Men or women, it's science and chemistry. However, some spider people have their own special interests, like Penny Parker's is robotics, and Miles Morales is art and music. With special interests comes info dumping, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now with you guys. Just dropping a bunch of information about something I'm really, really passionate about and not caring if you don't care about it.
I'm sorry, you're saying there's a multiverse? Because I thought that was just theoretical. I mean, that completely changes how we understand the initial singularity. We're talking about an eternal inflation system, and how does that even work with all the quantum? It's insane. Sorry.
And stimming. Who could possibly forget about stimming? If you don't know what stimming is, it's repetitive body movement or repetitive vocalization. For an example, a common stim that you might see with autistic people is them shaking their hands like this. A lot of people stim even if they don't have autism. It can just be like rocking back and forth on your feet, clicking a pen, or jiggling your knee up and down. You also see a lot of people with anxiety have stimming, and people who are not mentally ill whatsoever also stim. Spider-Man participates in a lot of stims. For example, he swings around New York City. That in itself is a stim, something that I personally would absolutely love to experience. Next, I'm going to talk about masking. And no, I don't mean this kind of mask. Well, okay, I kind of do. Just hear me out. Masking is when an autistic person hides or masks their autistic traits to better fit in with their neurotypical peers. This might be a little bit of a stretch, but perhaps the Spider-Man mask is literally a metaphor for masking autism. I know, again, it might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's a way for people like Peter and Hobie and Gwen and Miles and all of the spider people out there to just feel a little bit more normal, to feel like they can be a hero around their peers who usually look down on them. Even in this clip where Peter says,
Look, I'm just gonna be myself.
Ned says,
Peter, no one wants that.
no one wants to see you unmasked. No one wants to see the autistic version of Peter Parker. They want to see the neurotypical, happy, Spider-Man masked version of you. Quite literally masked version of you. Spider-Man also hates change. And first of all, I'm like, who doesn't? But second of all, that's very common in autistic people to hate change. Getting bitten by a radioactive spider, then losing a beloved father figure and having to adapt is never easy. However, that is a huge freaking change, right? Miles takes months to adapt to his new school. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man goes through this whole denial phase about having his powers and being Spider-Man, which is the plot of basically the entire second movie. So I think it's pretty obvious that if you were ever bitten by a radioactive spider, you probably also hate change. Now, I'm not the only person who thinks that Spider-Man might be autistic. For example, if you go on AO3, Tumblr, YouTube, TikTok, you'll find compilations of Peter Parker being autistic, or you'll find fan fiction of Miles Morales being autistic. I'm not the only person who has this headcanon. But you want to know how I know that Spider-Man really, truly is autistic? Because I am Spider-Man. Did I end my last video the exact same way? Yes. Yes, I did. Do I care? No, I do not. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, please subscribe, please give it a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you think Spider-Man's autistic? Do you think he's neurodivergent at all? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Bye.